Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. Not your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Welcome back from Fox News. More of the saga on General Milley. It's, here's the thing. I hate like hell for Bob Woodward and the other guy there, especially Woodward, to get all this free publicity on a book that hasn't even been published yet. But I'm afraid what's happening is, before I get into the story, it's a pretty slick tactic, actually, because they say they have over 200 testimonials from people in government towards the end of the Trump presidency. And not one of them is listed by name. They're all anonymous. So you take that with a grain of salt. It's worth nothing. But this one they let leak out, a couple other small ones, but this one especially is a big deal. So if this ends up being true, and they'll manipulate it, and the left will think it's no big deal, and the right will think he's a traitor. If this is really true, then it gives credibility to the other 200. That's the point. It's very slick. Very slick. So, in other words, well, in the book is about Milley. That was true. The rest of it must be true, too. Very clever. Defense Secretary at the time did not authorize Milley China call. Says he should resign. Now, here's the thing. There's Ronald Reagan, rest his soul. Former Secretary of Defense Christopher Miller, who led the Pentagon from the period after the 2020 election through Inauguration Day, and that wasn't much to be sure, but he did serve his country, I'll give him that, and he was Secretary of Defense. This is one of the unique things in the world, is the military is not run by the generals, it's run by civilians, i.e. elected and their appointees. One of the rare things in the world, especially with a powerful military like ours. And he did not authorize and would not ever authorize Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, to have secret talks with his Chinese counterpart, describing the allegations as a disgraceful, unprecedented act of insubordination and calling on him to resign immediately. Now, he didn't call it treason because it's not technically wartime. It's complicated. But it's still, he's right. It's an act of insubordination. He has no authority to do that. And as far as the nuclear codes go and the launching of the nuclear missiles, does not go through the Joint Chiefs. There's a protocol in place for that. That was never, ever an issue. It's all, I'll be straightforward here, it's all bullshit. In a statement to Fox News, Miller said that the United States Armed Forces, from its inception, has operated under the inviolable principle of civilian control of the military. That's right. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs is the highest-ranking military officer's sole role. Sole role is providing military-specific advice to the president. Advisors are very important to any president in any country, and by law is prohibited from exercising executive authority to command forces. By law. The chain of command runs from the president to the Secretary of Defense, not through the chairman. That is correct. It's just amazing to me. It really is. Billy went on to reference the allegations were included in the book Peril, co-written by Washington Post reporters Bob Woodward and Robert Costa. Well, that must be a riveting reading. Both work for the Washington Post. Jesus. That Milley made 2 secret phone calls, both to his Chinese counterpart, General Li Zuicheng of the People's Liberation Army. The book alleges that the phone calls took place prior to the 2020 presidential election on October 30th and 2 days after the Capitol riot on January 8th. They probably saw the instability. Was a call to be made from a military man in the U.S. to a Chinese military man? Yeah, relax. The government's not falling apart. the media is making a big deal out of it than it really is. Chill out, dude. That would have been a proper phone call. The book claims Milley contacted Lee after he had received intelligence that suggested Chinese officials believed the United States was planning an attack on China amid military exercises in the South China Sea. Just a show of strength. They've been doing it for years, and so have they. So did the Russians, so did the Soviets, so did everybody. Just to show that you can't do anything you want to whoever you want to. The author of the book claims that Milley contacted Lee a second time to reassure him the U.S. would not make any type of advances or attack China in any form. As Milley promised, we are 100% steady, everything's fine, but democracy can be sloppy sometimes. Well, that's the only thing that's accurate in this whole thing. Unbelievable. But Fox spoke with multiple individuals who were in the room during the two phone calls Milley had with Lee. The calls in October were coordinated with then Defense Secretary Mark Esper's office. They were not secret, a U.S. official told Fox about the calls, which took place over video teleconference. Fox learns there were more than 15 people present for the calls. Sources told Fox News there were multiple note-takers present and said the calls were both conducted with full knowledge of Defense Secretary Mark Esper and then Acting Secretary Christopher Miller, something Miller denied. Now, somebody's lying. Or their interpretation of, was I there? Who knows? Somebody's not telling the whole truth. It's, the old saying, it's not telling the whole truth the same as lying. Yeah, quite often. If the reporting one was book is accurate, it represents a disgraceful and unprecedented act of insubordination by the nation's top military officer, Miller said. That's true. Now, I'm not going to read this entire article word for word. You can stop the video. But I think this is important right here. Pursuant of partisan politics and individual self-interest are a violation of an officer's sacred duty and have no place in the U.S. military, Miller said. Adding that a lesser-ranking officer accused of such behavior would immediately be relieved of duty pending a thorough and independent investigation. The Secretary of Defense would not even authorize such conduct. Well, that's about as clear as you can get it. Any sanctions that President Trump was intent, or accusations that President Trump was intent on starting a war with China are completely unfounded. Of course they are. President Trump absolutely believed and advocated for more aggressive approach to China, but he was elected to end our nation's wars, not start new ones. I was proud to play a small role in achieving those goals. Yeah, that's Trump's problem. He walked in right after he got inaugurated in 2017, and in less than a month, said, I'm pulling out of Afghanistan. And the military-industrial complex and all the neocons and the libcons and all the uniparty people set their hair on fire. Unbelievable. Miller added, I look forward to a full, and this is an actually important paragraph as well. To look forward to a full, nonpartisan investigation of the accusations made by Woodward to guarantee that the genius of our founders and following generations that established a system and culture of subservience of our military, the most powerful force in the nation, to civilian control endures. Very well said, sir. And like I said, you can read the rest. Calling a foreign counterpart discussing operational capabilities against that enemy is literally treasonous. I'm not really sure. I'm not a lawyer. Unbelievable. At most, there was presented that Milley was calling foreign allies and partners to reassure them. The spokesman for the Joint Chiefs, Colonel Dave Butler, is defending allegations of secret calls with the Chinese counterparts, saying the conversations were vital to reducing tensions. The calls were coordinated with high-level defense. I have no problem with the tensions part. I know where things are getting out of control. So this video is going a little long, so I won't read all of this, but this is very disturbing. It bothers me a lot. It truly does. According to those familiar, I hate that expression. The October phone call had several topics, one of which focused on the election. The Chinese, according to the sources, were concerned about what they saw as instability in the U.S. system. Milley, according to sources, reassured his counterpart that the U.S. is a stable democracy. I have no problem with that. Another source said the call was in context of assuring adversaries the U.S. was not planning any military action. And you can read the rest about the number of phone calls that he had. And he took an oath, you know. He took an oath. He is somebody who has a fidelity to the Constitution and has confidence in his leadership and the role he has played in his experience with him. Psaki said, I can't speak to anonymous, unconfirmed reports about prior conversations during the last administration. We had no problem with it. You had zero problem with it with Trump. Psaki added that the president knows General Milley. They've worked side by side to arrange international events. You know, The president has complete confidence, leadership, his patriotism, his fidelity to our Constitution. Yeah, okay. This is the same general, by the way, that sat before Congress and kissed their butts and said, I'm concerned about why there's white rage, too. Our number one problem in the United States is white supremacy. What a crock of crap. Good Lord. The whole world is out to get us because we're the most successful and the most powerful, especially China and Russia and a lot of the Middle East countries hate us. Jesus, we get along better with the Vietnamese now. It's incredible to me. And there sits Taiwan, the number one chip maker in the world. What's going to happen? This is a big deal. This is a big deal. Actions have consequences. Should General Milley be dismissed? I think so. He should be just dismissed for kissing Congress's butt. But that's not a reason to relieve somebody of command. But you know what, sir? You had a long time in the military. I hope you enjoy your retirement. Go fishing. Do whatever you do. But you'll end up getting hired at some think tank, some left think tank. And they'll say, we have the ex-chief of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the head guy who stopped Trump from nuclear war, and he's now a part of our foundation, and we applaud that, and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, folks, I don't know what's going to come of this. We'll see. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.